All right, we're back. Now you're gonna want to resist the desire to sand this and get it all nice and smooth and all that stuff. It's really unnecessary and potentially detrimental to your carving tools, because if you sand, I don't know if it's true or not because I don't do it, but they say it can dull your tools. You know, the sandpaper leaves little pieces of grit in there that interact with your tools, so it's probably not good practice. So, and it's not necessary. So at this point, let's just go forward and we'll smooth all that back out, okay? All right, so we have a V-tool. This is a small one. This is a number 15. These things last forever. I bet I've had this tool for 40 years. So what you're going to want to do is go along that line and go easy and just go right along that line. Generally speaking, you want to go downhill. You can turn it around like this if you want, or you can turn your work around. But this is fine. I can carve with both hands. I like it more with my right hand because I'm right-handed, but. And when you're carving, when you've got a position, if there's other stuff to do, stick with the position. You'll get more done that way. They also make a V-tool that's bent. And you might find that it works better here in this area where it dips. So when you first do it, you might see that your line is a little raggedy. And then you can just straighten it out as you go. As you get deeper and deeper, you can straighten it out. Now as I go up, I'm kind of going up in the cut. I don't want it to be as deep here as it is here. And this can be adjusted as you go and you see how things are progressing. This is how you want to start. Most all carvings are started with the V-tool. Or setting in. And all you're really trying to do is create different levels and define your shape and create those highlights and shadows. That's what carving is about. Simply that. And even when you have a sculptural 3D carving and you're painting it like a decoy. Here, let me grab one here. Even though this has sculpture to it, I still, when I paint it, I paint highlights and shadows into it. And, you know, you just want to keep that in mind. It's all about highlight and shadow. And again, it doesn't it doesn't really take a lot. And as these in this area are getting closer, you don't want to go as deep. The deepest part is going to be right in here. Right there. This basswood carves real nice, but walnut and cherry and all those, they carve nice too. Well, we could do this with the left hand. All right, so you just want to get your V-tool work done. And then you're going to start rounding off. I'm just going through and cleaning up a little bit. And you'll see, I'll probably have to go a little deeper, but you'll see as we do this, you can adjust it. All right, so also, I believe it's the number 7 or the number 8, maybe the number 8, is actually what makes these round parts here. So you're gonna stab those in. All right. So you can see what we're doing here. We're just putting those in there. And then we're going to come, this is a kind of flat, sweet gouge that I just put a real heavy bevel on it. I don't know if you can see that or not. So as you do this, you can come into it and this high point meets it there. See, the ends of the tool don't dig in to the ends of the rays there. So you can get in there. And I just reground this tool again. I just put it to what my needs are. And that's as simple as that is. It's not much to it. You're going to get your outside line. You're going to come in. And you're going to go right up to that stop cut you made. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. All right. So let's work on these two here and start rounding them over. I'm just going a little deeper and straightening them out. And then you can use any tool to start rounding. They do make a tool, it's a back bent, that actually the cutting edge is on the top side rather than the bottom. And you can come along and you can catch that edge. All I'm doing is taking that vertical side and I'm rounding it over. Again, you can do it. This is a number 5. You can do it with this. Might just be a little slower. Now you can see why I told you to resist sanding, because you're cutting it away anyway. So I tell students sometimes, don't work on wood that's not going to be there. You're wasting your time. The objective here is get a nice roll to it. Again, as I said in previous videos, you want sharp tools. If your tools aren't sharp, you will not be happy carving. You will be very frustrated. I've heard people say also you shouldn't carve to yourself. I think it's a bunch of garbage, because I'm pushing and I'm pulling. There's no way this is going to come into me. I'm totally controlling this tool. So we can come back with the V-gouge. Just clean up a little bit. I also have a little riffler file that works really good for this. I don't have it here. I'd have to get it, but in the end, you may want to just radius this button over a little bit, depending on how you feel about it. You could leave it square, or you could give it a little radius, I think. Let me see here. Yeah, I radius this one just a little bit. It's up to you. All right, so let's straighten this out here. This kind of work takes time, but it's not like as much as you think it might be. See, as I'm coming up to the top, I'm dropping my hand, so I'm not going as deep up here. I know I'm blocking what I'm doing here. Sorry. Okay, so again, we're just taking our time, rounding this over. Taking these fine little shavings. We're looking to get somewhere in the middle. Where'd my pencil go? We're looking to kind of meet here in the center as we round over. Oh, there it is. So that's kind of what we're trying to do here. And again, we're not real deep. We're not deep at all. Now these are going to be the same. These are going to be the same as these. The only thing is when you get to here, the grain gets a little squirrely, so be careful in this 45-degree area here. Now, then we're going to take, so once you've kind of rounded it over, now you can take your sandpaper and you can start sanding it out. And rolling this over, making it round. Now there's always a discussion about tool marks. Should you leave them? Should you take them out? Again, it's totally up to you. You know, with CNC machines, you want to kind of show that it was hand carved. So tool marks are good in that way, you know, a little bit. But here's what I have found. If you do a carving and you leave it with the tool marks, the finished surface is going to be different than the rest of the piece. And you want it all to be the same. So, for instance, if you finish sanding at 220, you want to sand your carving at 220 because you want your finish to be accepted at the same rate. You want the same thing. So if you burnish this surface and you sand this to 220, it's not going to look the same. Your sheen's not going to be the same. So I say, you know, you sand your carving to the same as the rest of the furniture or the piece that you're making, and then you'll have that consistency. because if you don't, you'll find that it's going to look different and you probably will not be pleased. So you can spend as much or as little time on this as you want. Obviously I can spend a lot of time here getting this just perfect, but I'm just trying to get you the idea. You want to touch all the surface with the tool or with the sandpaper. You want to leave that surface the same. Now what you could do is come back. If you want to leave a few hand tool marks in and just real easy go through and just, just leave a few here and there. Little facets. It's totally up to you. Again, it's totally, all of this is up to you, how you want to do it. I found that most of the time, even if you're real careful at carving, sanding does even it out. It does, much as you want to say, oh, I'm a great carver and I can get that thing just perfect, regardless of leaving your finished surface the same. Yeah, not as good as sanding. I don't care how good you are. That's just my view. I may be wrong. My wife says I'm wrong all the time. So anyway, this is where we're at. Of course, you got to finish off the rest of it, but it's all the same. There's nothing more to it than that. This needs more sanding. I can see it. That's the other thing you want to take when your carving's done. You want to take light to it, and you want to see what it looks like, where you messed up, what needs to be adjusted. Again, it's all about the light and how it comes off the piece. But even as I turn this, I can see areas here that need sanding that I didn't necessarily see when it was sitting the other way. So you'll want to look at it from different directions. Again, I found that straightening this line up is, let me see if I can find them real quick. All right, so I have a little file. It's a triangular file right here. And you can come in through here and just work that. I found that pulling it just does as good as anything. And it'll straighten out your line if it's a little off. And it's a nice way of finishing it off. Just a little riffler. But that's basically where we're at. If you continue on, you end up with this. Same thing. I just spent more time here. This is the process. So you see that there's no mystery in this. It's just a matter. Most carving is nothing more than a V-cut. Here, let me see here. Then a V-cut or a stab cut. And then coming back to it. You create that shadow line. You can do it with a V-tool. And then come back to it. Again, the nice thing about this is you don't push. If you do it this way, you can push those fibers. If you do it with the V tool first, then you can come back and you can straighten it out. And that's 90% of carving right there, and then rounding things off. So different levels. I did this for a class one time to show just different levels. When you're thinking about a sculpture, I rough it out in levels. Like I did an eagle. I did the head. The eagle's head was the highest thing in it. Then beyond that was the body. And, you know, I worked my way down and blocked it out. Then I started refining it little by little. So hopefully this helps you. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments and I'll try and answer them. And we'll move on to some other stuff. And I just hope that you enjoy carving as much as I do. All right, take care.